Alright, I'm gonna do a little bit, maybe 15 minutes or so of some graphics tinkering. It's been a while, it's been a couple of days since I did that last. I'll have to remind myself where I was at. Really what I want to keep doing ideally is keep working through the tutorial, because I really want to be finished with this tutorial. I've kind of been sitting on it for a while because I think I just have kind of analysis paralysis when it comes to graphics for some reason. I was somewhere with the camera stuff, the mouse. Okay, I was messing with the mouse input. Now I'm starting. It's going to come back to me. Let's just run it and see where we were. Okay, so we had the mouse movement working. Oh yeah, there's a few things I wanted to maybe do. So one thing that's interesting is, you know, doing left and right. If I do W to go forward, it goes in the direction the camera's going. So when I'm looking normal, I haven't moved the camera up or down at all. I'm just looking about normal. It goes, you know, does what you expect. But the problem is, if I then look down, W goes in the direction of the camera. See, which is cool, which is a cool effect. And it might be the desired effect, but just again we're tinkering with this for the sake of learning. So anytime I can say, I wonder how I can do XYZ instead of ABC, that's a good opportunity for learning, because I can then try to figure out how to do that. So the question here is, how do I make it so that I guess a way to put it is, how do I make it so that my camera, my guy, my player, if you want to call it that, is walking on the ground, so that no matter where he looks, he still walks in a straight line. So let's mess with that and have that be our little challenge for this session. And I probably have some other whilos in here. I make the player walk on a plane. Yeah, that's what I just said. Rather than walk in the direction the camera's pointing in. I don't understand pitch adjustment. I think I did do that, but I don't remember the answer. Tinker with and understand why pitch adjustment needs to be positive while yaw is negative. So that was up here, where I think it was up here. I gotta kind of reorient myself with the code base. Code base, it's a file, but you know what I mean. So here. No, this is the keyboard input. I want the mouse input, right? Should be cursor callback or something. Mouse callback. So right here, okay, let me remember how this works. We have we figure out how far we've moved in the X direction based on the cursor movement, the mouse movement. Because the X and Y controls the yaw, right? The X and Y, so going like this, controls the yaw. If this is top down, looking top down, the yaw, which makes sense. So you'd say yaw, you'd add to the yaw the amount that we move. So let's kind of draw that out and remember how that works. So, if we are, let's think about this. So let's say we have the screen here. Let's actually, maybe we can draw a rectangle. So let's say we have the screen here, and we know that we have X and Y. That's rough. Is there a way to, like, I don't even know, do a straight line in this program? I don't know. We have X and Y. We have negative X, and so negative X and positive X. We don't worry about Y right now. So if my mouse is currently, let's say, right here, and I move my mouse right here. Now, realistically, with how fast the program is running, it wouldn't capture such a long movement. It'd be more of a bunch of little tiny movements. Like if the program is running, you know, 60 frames per second, then in the amount of time that it takes to move from here to here, like I'm moving the mouse, you know, however much, depending on this mouse sensitivity, it would capture a lot more mouse inputs, and therefore the delta would be a lot smaller. But just for understanding's sake, it doesn't really matter. We can just say it's a wider range of movement. So let's say we move from here, A to B, and let's say A is just kind of an arbitrary value. Like if this is 0, this might be like 100 or negative 100. That was a horrible 100, and this might be positive 100. Let's just say this is negative 10 to positive 20. So we say, okay, we moved from negative 10 to positive 20. We moved 30, right? We moved the delta x is positive 30, right? The delta is the x position, which is the one you're at now, minus this one. 20 minus negative 10 would be 30, right? So we know that we moved positive 30 when we're doing this, and in this, now let's look at from top-down view. Maybe I should do a different color to signify that. Now we're looking at top-down view. So now this is, I always forget, is this positive z? Doesn't really matter. Negative z? I forget. And this is now still positive x and negative x. So now we're looking top down. Our yaw, which is essentially a vector, that's pointing in some direction. In this green box is our scene, by the way. We have our camera that will be pointing in some direction, whatever direction that might be. So if we moved our mouse to the right, we would want to rotate our camera to look at the, quote unquote, right of the camera. So if we're currently looking here, we'd want to look over here. If we're currently looking over here, we want to look over here, right? Which means if we think about this as like kind of a unit circle, or in that case a really ugly unit ellipse, then we'd want our angle to get smaller, right? I believe. But that's the opposite of what I'm seeing over here, where yaw is plus equals. So why is that working like that? Do I have an opposite understanding of it in some way? Well, our yaw is some... What is yaw again? This is the problem of having so much time between the last session of tinkering, because I'm going to spend most of the time refreshing on the stuff that I had understood. I had understood just fine, a week ago, however long it was. So let's see. How is yaw used again? Yaw starts at negative 90. Yaw is just some value that indicates it's used. Okay, yaw is some value. Yeah, yaw is like the value along the unit circle, right? It's some value. It's like right here, or right here, or right here, whatever it might be. Because we plug that into cosine to get the x value. How does that work again? Man. So if we're increasing the yaw, if direction x equals cosine of yaw and z equals, well, that's a little complicated because you have both the pitch and the yaw, but we can just call it cosine of yaw, no, sine of yaw. Right? So as the yaw increases, because cosine is the x value. So if you think about it, if we're moving the camera to the right, we're moving the mouse to the right. And as we, hold on. Because if we move the mouse to the right, we want the camera to move to the right. Right? Right. Yeah, so moving the mouse to the right, you can't really see it. Mouse to the right, camera goes to the right. Yeah, of course. That was a little sanity check. I was losing my mind for a second. So as the yaw increases, our x value, because the x value over here would be bigger than if it was right here, because if it's straight up, then our triangle, let's say it's like a slight difference here. Oops, that was horrible. Man, I cannot draw a straight line. What the heck? Then the x is really small. So as the yaw, well, after a certain point, if the yaw continues to increase, then x will start getting bigger. Well, actually, it'll get smaller, really. It'll seem to, the absolute value of x will get bigger, but because it's negative, it's actually getting smaller. Man, I am lost. So the yaw, okay, it's crazy. Mouse, so the yaw is increased based on the delta. Why? Because I know if I swap this, then the mouse, the horizontal mouse movement will essentially be inverted. If I move the mouse to the right, I'll move to the left. Yeah, exactly. I understand that, but I don't really understand why. I don't understand the intuition behind it. X pos delta. How is yaw used? I know it's used, but I don't understand how it's used. You know? Let's see. Because if yaw is increased, I need to grab a calculator maybe for this. I say cosine is at 150 degrees, then we'd be at negative, I should probably write the whole thing down. 150 degrees, because yaw is a degree, that's why we start at negative 90, right? Negative 0.866. If we increase the yaw to say 180, and we go to negative 1. Right? Yeah, as yaw increases, the x gets small. It gets smaller, but then it gets bigger, right? Because if I then keep increasing yaw to say 200, it'll then go in the opposite direction. Right, it'll keep going back down. Then if I do cosine. Yeah, because then, you know, then cosine of 210 would be back at our original value of 0.866. So again, I've forgotten how the mapping between yaw and the actual, I guess the camera ramifications, the camera effect, are related. It's just not really clicking in my brain anymore. Because again, I would think if you're increasing the yaw, that would mean your kind of pointer thingy, your I mean, almost like, think about like the clock, the hands on a clock. It's going to move from here to there to there to there to there to there to there, and it would be increasing around. But that would be moving the camera to the left, not to the right. It doesn't really make sense, right? But clearly that's not what's happening. Why? I thought I already worked through this. That's the worst part. Pretty sure I already worked through this. I wonder if I kind of just searched about it real quick. I wonder, is it related to the fact that in graphics it looks like you're moving the camera and the scene's staying still, but in reality the camera's staying still and the scene is moving around the camera. So where it seems like we should be moving to the left, we're really moving to the right. Interesting. Interesting. Here's what we're gonna do. Let's go up to our mouse callback and let's just print out. Well, we don't need to do a mouse callback. We can do it down here, maybe, where the yaw is used. Move my drawing tablet. So I want to print out the yaw. As well as the, I guess, the cosine of it. So let's just double it up. Cosine it. We'll just say it's cosine yaw. Obviously, technically, it's the cosine of the yaw is converted to radians, but I'll understand what it means in the output. And I'm really in C mode where I want to do like printf syntax. Cosine, convert to radians. And also do the sine, right? So to start, yaw is -90. I actually need to move. Oh, you know what? We actually need a. Yeah, that's okay. Is that gonna be? Is that? Wait, is that even possible to move? We need to make a thing that allows us to. Okay, that's actually something we need to do real quick. We need to make it so that I can hit a button and then make the cursor visible again so I can move the window. Because right now, when I run the program, the cursor's then sucked into the program, and I can't get out of this unless I close the program. So I have no cursor. I can't move this window. So let me do that real quick. I don't think this process input function is the best way to do things, but we're just gonna keep going with it. Do I even have an escape somewhere? I always forget also which. Okay. So if escape is pressed. The thing is, I want to do a press, but I also don't want to double up. How do you do that again? Let's do it and call back, honestly. I don't know why I have this process input function. You're just doing things a different way. So if key equals escape and Wait. We don't want to do this. Actually, let's just do a print statement for now. Problem is, it's going to do multiple. Oh, actually, none at all. Okay. Why is it none at all? Why is it none at all? Is this saved? Maybe escape is some special key that doesn't really... I'll try doing a different key. Does it work if I do C? Oh, maybe... Interesting. Why is that input not... Do I not have key callback set up? I do. It's right there. Why does this not seem to be registering anything? Why does key callback not seem to be hit at all? Like we're literally setting key callback right here. Tick B key callback. But it's not actually doing anything. Maybe I do need to do in process input. I'm not sure why that's not working, but let's not worry about that right now. There we go. That worked. The problem is I need to get rid of some of these print statements because they're kind of, I know I just added some, but they're kind of gunking up my output right now. Yeah, see how so many of inputs come through? What you need to do is to not, is to say if it's pressed, if a press event came through and if it's not already pressed, right? Let's just do a simple and ugly right now. Boolean is escape. Do I have key state somewhere? I don't. I feel like I have a different version of this on my laptop or something, but I could be wrong. Okay, nice and simple and ugly. Is this pressed? False. We come down here. So if this press and escape is not already pressed, then we'd make sure to set that to be true so it doesn't register twice, and that should fix that. Okay, something's still printing out like crazy, but that's fine. I just need to find what the line was that did the thing for the cursor. I believe it was this. GLIF W cursor disabled. What are the other options? So normal. Now this will only be part of the issue. So we're moving around, do this, now we have a normal cursor. At least we can move it around, and then, okay, so we'd want to add to do make it so clicking again will hide the cursor again. So where I left off, trying to understand how yaw is added to while pitch is subtracted from. It may be related to how in graphics we think the objects is moving around a stationary scene. In reality, it's a stationary camera moving around with the entire scene moving around it. So I was adding some yaw, cosine and sine, output to main to better develop the mental map, but ran into a secondary issue where I couldn't move the GLFW window once the program running, so I started adding logic to bring back the cursor so I can move the window. Get that working. Just need to also so the cursor can disappear again. Okay, cool. So I think it'd be a good idea after I figure this out to make a quick video about pretty much explaining in a short way why the yaw is positive, why the pitch is negative, that sort of thing. Not negative, but not positive or negative, but what I mean is why the where's it at? Why the yaw has something incremented to it, and then pitch has something subtracted from it.